All right, good afternoon. I know nobody is here yet, but uh, in 1 minute, I'll start talking about what we are going to talk about today. And since this is recorded, you will be able to watch it at your convenience. Okay, so it's 1:30, and again, welcome to the Jungle Institute of Technology. My name is Ali Arang, and today we are going to learn how to use the box or package to streamline our data science workflow. So usually people build R packages to wrap their functions together, but with the box R package, you don't have to worry about building a, an R package. So the box serves as an alternative to the R package development. At work, I use I built a lot of or I create a lot of functions. And the problem with the functions, although you can create them and put them in a file, R file, and then you can source them. The problem with that is when you have too many functions and you source them, then your global environment is cluttered, is overcrowded with a lot of functions showing on the screen. But with the box, just like in Python modules, that's the same um, philosophy upon which the box R package was built. So you create a box module, add your functions to it, and then just call that into your R, and you have a clean working environment. Shortly, I will demonstrate how to do that. So let's get started. Um, so this is just what I got from the website. Let me share the website where I found this information. So this is the information I have here. But two of my colleagues on LinkedIn, Stephen uh, and Michael, talked me into learning box to save me or to do what I just mentioned earlier. And I'm glad that I took the time to learn how to use it or implement it in my data science workflow. It's a straightforward process, but it can be challenging if you don't take time to read the documentation and then implement it. So let's look at it. But this is the website where I got a lot of information. I would also read Steven's blog posts about it, and then I look at this website here. So let's come back in here and let's see if I can zoom out a little bit. Okay. So these are way that they define what box does. This is the workflow. So the first thing is what is box or the box. And then two is loading the packages. So normally, so when you are in Quarto document and you are using the visual editor, you can click the forward slash I mentioned it last time to add a chunk. In this case, we are working with R, so it's R code chunk. The other ways you can add R code chunk I mentioned last time or in my previous video is you can click the option command I, and I will do it for you. I just click command Z to undo that. I'm on Mac, but it would have been control Z if I was on PC. On PC, to add a code chunk with the shortcut, so let's say, so here I just said option plus command key plus I. The difference is on PC, you're going to do Alt, Control, and I. Then the third way to add it is just come up here and click add. I'm not going to do that, but that's why I like working in the visual or use the visual editor. So normally the way you load the R packages is you type in, and I like loading tidyverse as just one uh, package with a lot of meta packages, and then you control command enter. Just the command return or enter. But here we are seeing this message being printed out here. We are using tidyverse 2.00, and then you see these are the packages that are in tidyverse. So what we can do here is we can add, in Quattro we are able to do this. So say warning, we're going to set it to false. Messages, we will set it to false as well. Say this is libraries. Now, if I run this here, or if I click, let's say if I run it this, we are not going to see those messages. If I run it like this, we are not going to see those. So that's how you suppress the messages or warning. And then, so this is the normal way where how we load the R packages. That's not what we are going to do today. So today we are going to use the box package. And box, you type the box, or first you install it. You can install it. Box. Or there are the steps for installing it here. So let me come back here. So we can install it from the GitHub using this link, or we get it on Grant using this link. I have already installed it, so I'm not going to install it, but I just wanted to show you that you can install it this way. To use it, now I'm going to call box and then call use so that I can tell box which R functions or libraries I'm going to use, actual packages or libraries. So instead of doing tidyverse, let's say I want deploy R. And maybe from deploy R, if I want to load all the functions of deploy R, then I can do the brackets, square brackets, and then 3 dots. That's how you call all or load the entire of that package. I will use only one package, one function from it, so I will just use that. So that's how you tell it, give me only one function from this package. And then I will need tidy R. I may need a few functions from there. If you don't know ahead of time which functions you will need from that package, then it's okay to load all of them. And then, so another thing I do, I go on the second line so that I have a clear view of what I'm doing. So I will need a string R, of course. And a string R, maybe I want str remove, and I will need remove all. What else do I need? Maybe that's what I need for now. And then what other package do I need? Still, yeah, I need to read Excel. From read Excel, I can call this function here and say read underscore Excel, or I can say read underscore Excel. I will use only one. I will use this last one here, but you can use this one. I'm just showing you. And then these are enough for our purpose. So I will click Command Return key to load those. Now they have been loaded. And so now importing the data, again, / and importing the data. Today we are going to work with multiple Excel sheets. So I will use, that's why I loaded that map underscore df for data frame. So let's say importing the data or import the data set. So first we need to do, since we have multiple Excel files, we need to tell R where the files are. To add that assignment operator, I just did option and then that underscore or dash. And then I will use the fs package. Tell my or so then I'll go up. I have a nested folder here. This is R tutorial. I'm under the advanced R. And then I want to go in here, but I have saved my code here. So I need to come out from there to come to the top level. So that's why I'm doing the .. / and then now I can do the tab and then Excel files and then run it. I only have those files in there, and so I don't need to specify anything. I could specify like the format, but now we see that we have 10 files in this directory. Okay, that's the file path. Now to read in the data, let's say I'm still working with the South Sudan 2008 census data. So here we say file path, we will pipe it. So pipe is the shift command M. We'll pipe it into the map function, mapdf function. I will demonstrate it in 3 ways here. Although I don't have to skip any rows in the files that we are using. I'll show you this in 3 ways in case you run into a situation whereby you will have to skip some rows when you are reading in your data. And this map underscore df here says you provide the data, which is .x, and then you give it the function. You can also provide an ID if necessary, and then do your work. So what I will do first now, I will just do read Excel. I'll use the second one like this. And then I run it. But when I run it, I get a printout. And this is my data. So instead of using a for loop to loop over the 10 files, I just use the mapped underscore df, and it loops through them and then just row bind them, stack them on top of each other. So this is one way I can use this function because I don't want to, I'm not manipulating the files individually. So this is one way I can do it. I'll comment it out. I'll show another way if there are some rows that we would like to or want to skip. So as of deploy R 1.0.0, you can write a shortcut like this. You can call this whatever you can call it. You can call it path, you can call it data, you can call it X, doesn't matter. And then your function that you are going to use to read the data in. This time we are going to call it as a function, and then we provide the same thing that we have included here, we included here. So you see this backslash. So this is something new that came out with the release of deploy R, I think 1.1.1 or yeah, I think 1.1.00. And then now let's read it, let's run it. And to make sure that, or to better understand, let me change the data frame name and read it so that we cannot confuse it with what we need. So it's the same thing. We have 450 rows and 11 columns. There are 3 rows with NAs, but they are being automatically dropped. So this is the second way of reading in using the mapped function. I'll comment that out. And then the third way is, this is assuming that we have to skip some rows or we have to do other manipulations. So the other way we can do it is just use the tilde and then read Excel, and then provide dot. And then here we need to provide path. Let me say, this probably is not going to work, but let's try it. Okay, so it didn't work. So let's go and bring that up there. Put it in here. That's our data. And then now we just use this as a position holder. So if we were to do some things like, okay, call underscore, so names, call skip. I've never used a call skip, but so if we wanted to skip something, then we would have, like, if there were some rows to skip, then we could have done that. That's why it is important to do this as a function. So these are the 3 variances or ways of doing it. Since we are not skipping anything, we are going to use the first one. And then I'll comment this out. I'll leave them here so that you can read them in the, or maybe let me use the second one. I like this here. And then I'll go back here. So we are reading that in. So this is our data set. And we will do our data cleaning normally. First, when we are done, I will convert the codes into, or the code into a function. And that is when I'll show you how you use the box to write a module. So let's just do this one the normal way. Now, let me take this one up. And then now let's pipe it in. Oops. Let's pipe it in. So the next thing we need to do is to select columns of interest. So maybe we say select columns of interest. Then we will use the select function. So which columns do we want? We want this column here, this column here, and this column here, this column here, and the last column. So what I will do, instead of doing that, straight away, I will, before using the select function, I will use, I'll clean the column names using the generator package, so that I will remove spaces and add underscores to connect names, column names with more than one word. And then I'll use the glimpse function to extract the column names. So I need this, but I can type them in here. So let me add a pipe. Good thing about the new updates is that I can type here. So former regions underscore. Okay, so it's not giving me this auto completion, but then I need region name. So region name, I will call that state region name. I need to break it into different lines for clarity. And then what else do I need? I need the variable name, but I'll call that gender. And then we need the age name, but I'll call that age category. Lastly, we will need the population column. And this will be the X 2008. Now, command returned, and now these are the columns we have. We only have 5 of them. So now let's do the data cleaning. Everything we are doing here, we will convert it into a function. Okay. So the next thing we need to do now, oops. So the first thing I mentioned something about, usually when you are working with the Excel file, you will see that there will be a lot of NAs where there's a name and there are NAs. So what I will do is use the fill function. So fill, and this is from tidyr. And fill, you give it the column that you want to use. So the column that we want is the former region. That's what I was saying. And then the direction. So we will do dot direction. How do we want to do this one? We can do downward, upward, down, up, or downward, upward. So we want it down because we want these NAs to be feel like all these NAs, because this is equatorial, we want all these NAs to be equatorial and so greater equatorial and so on. So this is what I mentioned last week, my last week's video. And then now we see that we have filled those NAs. The next thing to do is to manipulate. We don't want this population. We don't want that number in the parentheses. We just want the middle portion. To get that middle portion, so we will, I keep pressing wrong key. So let's say a transform column values. I will use the mutate function. Last time I showed we can use the separate function from tidyr, but here I'm going to use the mutate function. So it's the gender function, a column that we want to transform. Then what I will do, I will use the str remove from a string or from string r, give it the pattern or the string, the column, and then in quotations, what we want to remove. So we come here, we want to remove all the space and that part of the string. And then we say or, then it's space. We need to remove all this. Or let me take it together with the space. Now, if we don't do something to this parentheses because there is special character and or, they won't be removed. So we will do the two backward slashes to skip them, to tell R that we want to get rid of them. Okay, so it didn't do it. Now let's come back and see what did we do wrong. Okay, let's try this. Okay, so that didn't do it. Oh, there is a space afterward. Okay, let's see. Okay, so that is not doing it. So let's see again. Okay, so I got rid of that, but now, let's see, I got rid of that, but now there is this here. So what we can do is add this to, and that got rid of it. And what about if we add a space? Okay. So now that worked. I don't know why it didn't work in the first place. But now we can do this here. We call that column, and we want to look at the individual values inside it. Okay. So there are no spaces, which is what we wanted. Now we will use the filter function. So removed and wanted rows. So filter, the gender is exactly total. We don't need the total columns because those are states total. We will calculate them if we want to. We also don't want this total here, so we will say this one here, or each category is exactly total. And the reason I'm doing this is I'll show you, this is only giving us all those. So that one didn't work. That's your for this. Okay, what about, because I want, if this row is this or that row is this, then I don't want it. Exclude them. And that has worked. So that is what I wanted to show you, that you can do it that way. But what we could have done, just to show you, we could have said we don't want gender. We want to exclude. We don't want gender to include the total, comma. We don't want age to include the total rows as well. And then we do that. Now we see that is still doing it. But I will do it the first way I did it up there. So I'll keep this one. I wanted to show you this is another way that you can do. Pull out those columns and then exclude them. We are using or because this side has to be true or that side. If we do and, then that is not going to be possible. It will only work for the cases where both the gender and the age category have the row totals. And now let's look at the data. We are getting there. The other thing we will do is change this column here so that we change the age categories. We minimize them. So let's see how many age categories we have. So census. Type it into unique. And so there are 14. We don't want them to be 14. That's too many. So we will shrink them down to maybe 5. This is where we will use the case when function from deploy R. So we'll do mutate each category equal case underscore when. And I will use the str detect from string R. So that means I will go back up, or let me run it first to show you that, because I didn't load it before, it's going to give me an error saying it's not found. So within the age category, I would like to detect, first, I want to detect the rows with this here, or I don't need a space, or 5 to 9, or 10 to 14. That, and maybe 15 to 19. No, I will just make this one to be first category. So say 0 to 14. Add a comma, then str detect age category. And then we are going from 15 up to 15 or 29, 20 to 24, or 25 to 29. In this category, we will call it 15.9, and str detect. Remember, this is not the only way to do it. Instead of saying str detect, we could have said a category in, and then we provide the list. And now 30 to, I'll do 30 to 49. Here we will call we will call 30 to 49. Str detect a category, and then we'll go from 50 to 64. And this year we will call it 50 to 64. All else, or all the edges above 65 and above, we will call them 65 and above, or 65 plus. Let's say 65 plus, just the way they have it there. Now run this here, and we have changed these, we have overwritten them. Now the next thing to do is to summarize the data, and then after summarizing it, we will convert this function code into a function. So let's add another. So let's say grouping and summarization. I'll say summarized, and what we want is just the population. So let's say total equals sum of population column. Now we are going to do the dot by, and we will group by former state, former region, state, gender, and age category. That's all we need to do, and then summarize that. And now let's come back here. We see there are only 10 rows because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 categories. Multiply by 2, which is 10. 10 multiplied by 10 states is 100 rows. So that is all we need. Now we need to convert this into a function, and then now learn about how to use. So this here I've already implemented there. Now we won't write a function. And to write a function, I can copy all this. I will function, let's say, tweak census. We just call it tweak census or transform census. We'll provide it a path and maybe columns of interest. We will look at this. Let me drop it here first. Okay, I need to line this one up. Okay. And then just let's do this. And I can highlight all this here. I'll press down the control button or key, and that control and then the right bracket or square bracket that pushes that to the right. So we are providing the path here, and that path is what we will put in here. And so I will change this one to X. Columns, instead of including all these columns, we will just put the dot, and they will come from here. And this year, we can leave it like that, but we can do something about it. And then gender, maybe we will take this out. Maybe we will take this out and just say pattern. We just call it as a pattern. That means we have to add it here, pattern. And then what else do I want to change? This year, I will not put them there. I will change this. I'll just say condition, and then I will use the filter because I don't want to hard code that. This part I will leave here. I'll just leave it there. And then everything else I will leave as it is. We can say this year, and then we can say grouped var. Okay, so let's see, what do we have? Those are the changes I would like to make. You can customize the function to your liking, but just for demonstration purposes, I think this function is good enough. So let me run it. And then having run it there, we will test the function to make sure it is working. We'll say df. We will call our function trig path equal. So we will go up and get the path that we create here. And then tab pattern. Okay, we need to provide that pattern. It's this here. And then grouping var group var. We'll go and get all these here. And then columns at the bottom. So it's dot dot. So what I will do is come up here, just copy all this, put them here. I can put them in the C function, but I think this should work. We will see. Okay. And then now let's run it and return. So that is not, oh, condition. Yeah, we did not provide a condition. Sorry. Condition. This is the condition here. Okay, now let's run it. There's a problem. Gender not found. Okay. So gender is not found. So what I will do, I will just use the C function to group together all the columns. Okay, so it's still saying gender is not found. And let me see, let me go back to what we have done. So gender. Select. Oh, condition. Another thing we can do is here. Can break that into several lines. So let me run it again to see what is going on. And then run this. Okay, now that's worked. And we have our data or output the way it was. So now our function has worked. So how do we convert this into, like, how do we convert this into a box module? To convert it into a box module, what we can do up here, we can call all these functions we have here. So we say box use, excuse me. So we see we are using deploy R, but from deploy R, we are using select function, mutate filter, and summarize. So let's include those. So we say deploy R and filter, select, mutate, and summarize. We could have just called the dot to call all the deploy R functions. And let's try this one. And then map of R. You only want the mapped read R, read Excel. We need read underscore. I'm going to include both. And then what else? We have the field, we have janitor, but I will leave janitor like that, or let me in there. Then str, yes. So we need string R, so we need janitor. And it's only the clean underscore names that we want. We need str, string R. We need str detect. We need str removed all. And then see, let's try the R. Field, we need that field from here. So this is how you include you use the box with inside the function to add the functions that are being used in your the libraries or the function from the libraries or libraries that are being used in your function. Now let's run this here. And what I will do, I'll just copy this function. There's a better way of doing it, but I'll just copy it. I'll create another R file. Let's say our function for cleaning and transforming South Sudan 2008 census data. Okay. And we have to export. This is going to be exported. Drop the function in there. So you see I say export on the top, and then I just say drop this here. Now we are going to save it as, I'll just save it in R. You could have said, you could have called it module, but I like to put them under R. Now I like to separate my functions based on their work or what they do. So I will call this one clean.r. I mean just module.r. Make sure it is in here. And then now let's close this here. What I will do, I'm going to restart the session to make sure that there's nothing in there. We are starting over from the scratch. And then we will come up here. We load these using the box. We need our path. We don't need all those. We need this here. So actually, let me go and copy the path so that it is together in one place. Path. And tweak, we have stored it in the clean module. Another thing I haven't done. So you just call the name of your module and the $sign and the function that you want to use. Now, what we want to do, we want to bring that module into our session. So we will say use, just like we call the packages up there. And let's say, where do we have this one? Store is just in here, but we will not call it like that. So we will say r/clean. Let me say Okay, now, so this is how you source the function using the box. What we have done is just say box colon colon use, and then to get into this folder here, we say dot dot forward slash, and then we know it's under R, and then the name of the module. You don't say the module name, the module dot R. No, you just say the module name, and then run it. Now, if we run the whole thing here, this should work as expected. But here it's telling me that case underscore when is not found because we did not include it in our function. So let's come here. We know case underscore when is here, but we did not tail box to include that here. So we will come back here and say case underscore when, not as a function. And then now we will load that. And I always like to start over to make sure that, because when you do that, it's being stored in the memory. I always like to start over afresh, make sure everything has been run. Now we will just come here, bring it in, it's in our environment. So we have our modules in our environment. If we were using the just sourcing the functions using clean.r, it would have shown all the functions within that clean or, but this is the beauty of the box R package. And then we call the, we retrieved our file path. And then we run this here. And now our data is clean. This is beautiful. So this is how you use the box. Although I have only written one function, I hope you will find this one helpful. But basically, this is how you use the box package. I have implemented this here in my work, and my work now is cleaner. So this is all I wanted to share with you all today. Maybe let me see if there is something else that I would like to add, but it is 1 hour, so this should be sufficient. Let's say we have another function. Maybe we want to group. Let's say maybe we want to do like regroup the data further. So grouping and summarization. So let's say group the data. We want to group the data by just group data by state and gender. If this is what we want, then we can write a function. So we can say calculate or we can say calculate state, and you can calculate state totals. Calculate state totals. So we will provide it the data frame. This time it's going to be data. Maybe let me call it dot data or just data. We will provide what we want to group it by. So I'll call this group for and I think that's it. It's only two of those, so we will see what will happen. So the data that we are bringing in, so we could say here state, we could call it state. And then when we bring it in, it is already clean. So all we have to do is just group and summarize. So we will just say summarize. And summarize, we're gonna say total equal total sum of the total population, sum of the total, and then dot by equal. This is where we will call our group underscore var. And so we need to tell box which functions we want to use. We know here we are only using the deploy or summarization function. It's only that, so we can say deploy or summarize. And now let's see what else. Let's do this. Let me copy it and I will add it here. I'll say export. We are going to export this function. Now let's save it. I will restart the session over again, make sure everything has been cleaned out. We will say state equal call for state totals. The data is going to be the df, and then group will be state, and now we come back up here. We import our functions. We trace or pull in the path. We clean the data. And we see that it has been cleaned here. We take that data, we feed it into the next function to calculate the state totals. Now it is telling us that this function is not found. So let's come back here. What happened? Why is it not found? So oh, okay, tweak. Yeah, it's here. So why is it not found? So let's save it, restart the session, and start over again. And then make sure I call that correct function. Let me copy it here, make sure it's correct the way I wrote it. Now let's try. And it is not found. Okay. Okay, so let's see. We call that Okay, save it, restart the session, make sure it is clean. Run this here, run that, run this. Now let's try one more time. No, not that. One more time. Again, it's not found. Okay. Call state. This is weird. Okay, so let's say we save it. We copy it here. And okay, let's see. Oh, oops. So I'm not doing it the right way. So I'm just calling the function, but I'm not telling or the module. See, that's taken me maybe 10, 15 minutes, but it was me not doing it the right way. So you have to add the module and then the function. Oops. And then now it's telling me that deploy R, there's no package called deploy. Okay, so I mean it's spelled deploy R. This is a learning. I like this error because it's a learning deploy R. Now save it and load it. I was wondering what I was doing wrong. And it's saying, no, I just changed it. Deploy R. Deploy R. So why is it not there? So let's save it. Let's restart the session. Now let's come back up here. Let's call load that module, bring in the files, run this here, that work. Let's run. Now it is working. Wow, what a struggle. Okay, so now this is it. And you have seen we have written our functions. We create a module. We name it clean.r. And one thing I did yesterday was, instead of putting these functions in these packages in each function, I did something like this. So let me try it, make sure it is working. So I'll comment these out. That is, instead of including the packages in each function every time, I found out that you can put them on top. Now let's save them. We will restart the session to make sure that we are not using what is already cached or saved on there. And then we will come back, we will load it, we will run this, run that, make sure it is working, okay? And then now run this here, and now it is working. So you don't have to add all the libraries or packages in under each function. You can just put them on top of your file and then just add the functions like that. So this is basically what I wanted to share with you all. I hope you will find it helpful. Thank you all. And like always, please share our videos, like, comment, tell us what other topics you would or you are interested in. I will be able to create the videos for them. Thank you. Have a great week. Bye.